Shun Asanaga wakes up from a strange dream, and then he goes to a jewelry store where he checks out various gems and crystals. He tells his mom about the garden quartz he saw, and then they discuss his dad's birthday that's coming up soon. Time passes by and the big day finally arrives, but Chief Asanaga doesn't show up to the party. Shun tries to call him, but it's of no use, so he rushes to the office to check up on his dad. Meanwhile, we notice the Prince of Endra, Emilio Langheim, breaking into his father's quarters and killing his guards. Shun doesn't find his dad in the office, but notices a precious gem that opens up a portal into a fantasy world. Shun checks it out, but gets sucked into the alternative reality before anyone can notice. We're back to Emilio, who tries to kill King Delzain while he's sleeping, but the prince gets caught in the act. The father and son summon their spears and engage in a fierce duel, but Emilio is easily overpowered and defeated, after which the king sends him to the dungeons. A flashback shows Emilio learning that his real father was actually killed by Delzain, who is only pretending to be his dad for the sake of the throne. As Emilio sulks in the dungeon, Shun magically appears through the portal. Emilio questions him, after which some guards arrive to attack our hero. Luckily, he summons his Excalibur sword and defeats the guards, after which he helps Emilio escape. Later, they bump into a beastman from the Zhu clan named Ibelda. He attacks the boys, so Emilio takes him on, and Shun joins him as well. However, the Lion King is too powerful for them, so they escape via a river. Now Emilio explains to Shun that he is in Endra, and his world is referred to as the surface over there. He also learns that his sword is called a warp relic, and then he meets Alicia and her pet dragon Valerian. Now Shun is led to a giant crystal, and he is amazed to see how beautiful it is. Shun and Emilio seem to have gotten off on the wrong foot, but they are suddenly attacked by a boar monster, so they decide to fight. Valerian transforms into a dragon and attacks one of them, while Shun defeats another one with his sword. He and Alicia suddenly get trapped, but are luckily rescued by Emilia's friend, Pascal. Our heroes continue to fight even at Pascal's house, but they calm down once they have their food. Shun doesn't enjoy the weird meat, and then he explains how he ended up in Endra. Pascal explains how this world is inside Earth, which is actually hollow. Then he gives Shun an ancient book and explains how King Delzain is trying to revive the Babel portal in Babylon, which is the connecting point between both worlds. We also learned that warp relics can be of any form, because Valerian is Alicia's relic. Our heroes decide to visit Babylon so that he can go home, and we learned that Pascal used to serve Delzain, but was banished after his refusal to work on Babel. The team is suddenly attacked by monsters, so Pascal helps them escape in his fancy jet. However, our heroes crash into a forest and make their way to a cave where Emilio and Shun continue to compete against each other. Later, Pascal asks Emilio how he ended up in prison, but he ignores his question and changes the topic. The scientist goes on to explain why he had abandoned his work for Delzain and reasons that the surface world should never be connected to Endra. Pascal also mentions that Delzain is already on his way to Babylon to restore Babel, and it worries the prince. A flashback shows how Pascal first met Emilio during a time when he had just learned about the king. It was a rocky start at first, but they eventually became closer over a few weeks. However, things took a wrong turn when Delzain banished Pascal for refusing to work on Babel, and this only led to Emilio hating Delzain even further. Now Pascal decides to head off for an errand, and even Alicia leaves to collect water, so our heroes are left with each other. Here, Emilio manages to convince Shun to join him on a secret mission to kill Delzain, but things get awkward when Alicia comes back to check on them. The boys summon their swords and try to hunt a boar, but Emilio messes up in the middle of it. Luckily, Shun kills the beast, and the boys bring it back for Alicia to cook some soup. Later at night, our heroes sneak out while Alicia is asleep, and they find an Ignot camp. However, they get caught by a team of Ignot warriors. Soon after, things get tricky, but Emilio speaks to the leader Demetrio and asks for his help to kill the king. The Ignots are suspicious that the prince wishes to kill his own father, and Demetrio mocks Emilio for being reckless. The boys try attacking Demetrio, but he takes them down without much effort. However, after some discussion, the Ignots decide to help our heroes for now. Meanwhile, Pascal meets his friend and asks about the royal laboratory, but isn't able to find out how much time is still left till the Babel is revived. He does learn that Endura's warp particles are decreasing, and then his friends reveal that Emilio tried to kill his own dad. Later, the boys argue a bit more, and then they are taken out to do laundry work. Emilio is dazed because he doesn't know how to wash clothes, and then we meet Elgia, who is able to see the future. She has a vision of Shun back in his world, but there's another secret that she doesn't reveal. Pascal comes back to Alicia, and they realize that they have been abandoned, but decide to carry on with their journey and search for the boys. Shun and Emilio get get into another argument and summon their swords at first, but then get into a fist fight instead. Demetrio and his team watch from the sidelines as the boys knock each other out. They are woken up and teased, after which everyone gets together to discuss the plan ahead. Emilio states that the royal guard has 80,000 soldiers, so Demetrio says that they will need help from the Susian beast people. Shun also explains that Delzain is heading towards Babylon, so Demetrio doubles down on his plan. Luis takes the boys to their tents and explained that the Susians were once peaceful people, but become hostile after Delzain started mistreating them. A flashback shows us when Demetrio was helped by a Susian boy named Lucio, who guided him, after which he was abandoned in the forest. The two of them became great friends, and Lucio even helped Demetrio training against bear monsters. Unfortunately, one day, he was beaten up by a bunch of bullies who were mistreating his own people, and it led to his untimely demise. That's when Demetrio decided to carry on Lucio's legacy. The next day, Shun asks Elgia about the future and he tries to trap him, but it is tricked into looking for an Endra bird instead. Unfortunately, our hero is confronted by Ibelda again and struggles against him. He is rescued by Emilio, but the boys are dominated, so Shun's sword evolves and our heroes unite to defeat their opponent. Meanwhile, the other Zusians battle Demetrio and his team. The boys notice a flare and rush towards it, only to find Pascal and Delicia. However, Demetrio is upset by the recent attack and abandons our heroes because he doesn't want more trouble. At night, Pascal confirms that Emilio had tried to kill the king, but the prince reasons that Delzain isn't his actual father. They get into an argument, after which Emilio walks away from the scene. He ignores Alicia as well when she tries to talk to him, and then a flashback shows us that Emilio and Alicia were friends right from childhood when they would play in the castle. However, they grew distant ever since the prince vowed revenge upon the king. Now, Demetrio decides to keep Emilio and Shun on his side, after which Shun manages to find him and his team in a bar. He states that he wants to go to Babylon despite the danger that lies ahead, and it wins Demetrio's vote of approval. Then we see Pascal getting along with the others, and even Louise, who is overjoyed that she's finally getting a girl pal in Alicia. Later, the boys ask Felix about his motivations, and he explains that he wants the world to be a just place. A flashback shows how Demetrio had rescued Felix from his tortured past and helped him recover his spirit. The next day, our heroes are set out to Babylon. Shun is amazed to see the city of Amadeus and its beautiful ocean, after which the team decides to cross the canal in order to get to the Zusian island. The boys continue to fight, so Alicia decides to take them on a tour of the city for some shopping. Elgia gives Shun his shawl so that he can keep his outfit hidden, and then Alicia lends him some money for food and clothes. The team has some fun, but then Emilio's sword is stolen by a child. The prince catches the thief and berates him, but Alicia reasons that he was only trying to help his friend survive. Shun plays a game of basketball with the kids, and then the team heads back home. At night, they are attacked by an overpowered girl named Misha, who dominates both the boys and girls. Emilio is about to be killed, but Elgia saves him with his cloth, and then Demetrio battles Misha. After he wins, we learn that Misha is an orphaned assassin who has been brainwashed by the royal family. She tries a rematch against Demetrio, but he manages to break her collar this time to calm her down. Then, he takes her into his crew, and she makes her acquaintance with the rest of the team. The next day, they make their way to their ship, even though it isn't in best condition. Felix gets into a training session with Misha, but she manages to dominate him fiercely. Felix is about to summon his warp relic, but Louise stops the fight at the right time. A vicious storm attacks the ship, and our heroes hilariously struggle to deal with it, but Felix manages to save them both. However, the storm proves to be dangerous, and the ship gets wrecked. The team still reaches the Zusian island, but are immediately confronted by the local tribe. Louise is allowed some leeway, as she has Zusian blood, but the locals tie up the rest of the team. Demetrio tries to ask for their help in fighting Delzain, but the leader Gratido states that he will only listen to his request if he is willing to give away his life. His friends stand up for him and threaten to battle the others, but Demetrio tells them to stand down. Regardless, a fight breaks out, so Grandido asks to speak with Demetrio alone. He approves of his methods and offers his support, after which They discuss their way forward. Now Emilio starts to question his own intentions and asks Shun what it's like to live in his world. However, they are being spied upon by Ibelda and his men, who now learn of Shun's true origin. Gradido gifts the team a new ship and even gives Shun a bird summoning whistle as a memento. As they proceed, Demetrio tries negotiating with more allies, but Emilio remains doubtful that his bloodless plan will work. Now our heroes make their way through a mountain, but take a shelter once a blizzard interrupts them. Here, Emilio reveals to Shun that Delzain has killed his father, and this is why he is so thirsty for revenge. However, Shun talks some sense into him and starts worrying about his own mom. The next day, our heroes find themselves in a dragon nest, and Ulgia accidentally falls through a gap in the snow. Meanwhile, Pascal continues with his research in the royal library. With a trusty sidekick, the team tries to look for Ulgia as they walk through the cave, but come across an ice dragon. Things don't look good for them, but luckily, Valerian transforms into an overpowered fire dragon, and an intense battle follows. In the middle of this, Alicia and the boys are taken to a spirit realm, where she meets her father's soul. He reveals that he has always been inside Valerian, and that he takes them back to the real world. Now Ulgia appears and explains that the dragons were only trying to protect the kids, so the situation waters down. Then, the dragons offer to fly the team midway through their journey. As our heroes figure their next move, Ulgia receives an omen and passes out. He wakes up after some time and states that the entire future of Endra is at stake. Meanwhile, Ibelda and his men reach the king and provide their reports. However, Delzain rebukes the lion beast for engaging in battle with the targets, as he does not want to harm anyone. Later, a spy bird shows up and states that the team is moving towards Babylon. Pascal is still unable to figure out the king's true intentions, but time is running out as the warp particles continue to decrease. At night, Shun worries about the future of Endra, but Emilio says that it should not concern him. The next day, an informer tells our heroes that there are plenty of allies willing to support them, and it makes Demetrio happy. However, Luis is a little concerned regarding what Ulgia saw in his premonition. Emilio starts to believe that he can finally kill Delzain now, but Shun argues with him over his morality. They get into another fistfight, after which Shun walks away in frustration. Pascal notices a connection between the deduction of warp particles and the king's induction, so he decides to check out Babylon for himself. The team finally makes it to Babylon, and Ulgia identifies one of the towers as the entrance to Babel. They uncover a secret passage and move ahead after checking the area for traps. The team finds fresh footprints, so they rush up a wall, but Emilio loses his balance and falls. Luckily, Shun saves him, and then they proceed further. Demetrio reminds Emilio that he doesn't wish to kill the king, and it makes him angry. The prince reveals his true intentions, but Demetrio reasons that he should change his perceptions, as he had experienced the same emotions when he lost Lucio. Meanwhile, the allies prepare themselves for an epic battle and summons their troops. The team reaches the entrance to Babel, but are confronted by Ibelda and his beasts. An intense battle breaks out between both parties, and our heroes gain the upper hand after a brief struggle. Ibelda tries to taunt Emilio by saying Delzain never wanted to kill him, but the prince doesn't have time to waste, so he goes after the king, while Julia holds off the lion man. Suddenly, Louis reveals herself to be a traitor and is about to attack him, but Demetrio takes her on. Meanwhile, Emilia ignores Shun and rushes towards Delzain. He finally confronts his fake father and summons his newly evolved spear to take him on. The king questions Emilio as to what he will do if Endra loses its ruler, but he ignores his words and goes ahead with his attack. Meanwhile, Demetrio faces off against Louis, but holds back his attacks as he believes in her heart. She refuses to give in and tries to kill her captain, but is unable to bring herself to do so. She finally admits that she was wrong and becomes emotional in front of her family. Now, Misha and Felix join forces to fight Ibelda, but he escapes before he can be defeated. Emilio continues to battle Delzain, and then Shun shows up with Alicia. Suddenly, we see Ibelda killing his own team as he wishes to go to the surface by himself. Then Babel is activated and Shun forces Delzain to reveal the truth. Unfortunately, Ibelda arrives to attack Emilio, so Delzain sacrifices himself to his son. The lion beast tries to escape through Babel, but is destroyed by the portal beams. Now, Emilio breaks down after realizing his mistakes, while Shun decides that he must continue living here to uncover the truth. And that's the end of part 1. Like, share and subscribe for more recaps, and hit the bell icon to get notified about them. See you in the next one!